Hello guys and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan and Val.
Hello.
Today we have the third game of the best of three between ANZ and CCD in round 2 of the Wargame Reddit tournament. And this is definitely going to be a good game. We've already seen ANZ take down CCD and vice versa. ANZ doing a great job in the first game to basically decisively defeat CCD on Jungle Law. And then the opposite happened, and CCD took out ANZ on 38th parallel. So it's been pretty back and forth, and the pressure is on for both teams in this last game. But what are your thoughts, Val?
I'm just really excited to see what will come out of this game, because this is really the moment when the pressure starts to hit, because the team who loses this game goes down to the losers bracket, and their path to the finals is so much more difficult than just going this way straight into the semi-finals. But I think there's a lot riding on this game. I think we'll see some very interesting stuff. And speaking of interesting things, Patton, he decided that an airborne deck wasn't enough. He's now playing a full Red 4 support deck, which I never thought I would ever say in my life in a cast, but there we go.
Yeah, it's definitely something different. I think we worked out that every other player is playing the same as they were before. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. So I'll just run through them now. So we've got Patton with his Red 4 support. We have Random with a USSR deck, and Fadeaway with a Sovco deck. And on the blue side for ANZ, we have Cheer Up and Nandem and I both have Soviet decks, and Faust has his Sovco deck.
Yeah, so there is quite a lot of opportunity for this support deck of patterns to actually come in quite useful in a map like this. This is Gunboat Diplomacy, and the reason for that is because a support deck, obviously, it has access to more artillery than normal, and you would likely see more Smirches and more Buratinos than you normally would in a standard deck, and that's basically going to make it so that they can cover the bridges with napalm or the cluster munitions and stuff like that, and really sort of hamper the opponent team. So yeah, what do you think about the deck?
I think it may suffer later on when it doesn't have access to those super heavy tanks and a lot of the other things that you really come to need in these sorts of games later on. But this map, if you look over at Echo and Hotel on the left, there's so much town area. That Buratino will just be so useful. And I think, does he already have 2 on the field? No, he just has 1 on the field so far. But
yeah,
definitely, it can make a really big impact.
Yeah, if a skirmish breaks out in the town at Echo and the red side get over the river at Hotel, then things will definitely get interesting. That Buratino can do a lot of work. Also, if the Buratino lands on that sector that they recently flared in Hotel, that's commonly secured by the blue side. So there's a lot to work with there, but you make a great point about the heavy tanks. Because it's a support deck, he won't have access to the T-72BU and other heavy tanks that the Soviets provide. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
No, I am looking forward to this one. Gunboat Diplomacy is a very fun map to see what happens on, because you have all this action on the left-hand side, but I also really enjoy the skirmishing that goes on between Alpha and Charlie, and you see, we've seen in most of the games before, when times get desperate, people try and rush across from Alpha to Charlie or vice versa, and you get some really interesting sort of rush strategies going on where they'll try and push right across.
Yeah, well, we might see something between Alpha and Charlie, but I think it's more likely to see the standard skirmishes between Hotel and Echo. But let's just have a quick look at what specific units are being used. So we do have a T-80UM from Cheer Up at the start of the game. Cheer Up has also bought his own Buratino and is going to be relying on some OSA AKs for anti-air cover. Then we have Nando Manai. He's starting with a T-80UM as well and a Buratino, so a second Buratino for the team, and he is making use of 2 OSAs as opposed to the OSA AKs, and I'm finding it interesting as to why they're using T-80UMs as opposed to the T-72BU. But over on the far right, we do have some more of Nandemai's forces, and it looks like he is going to be providing a defensive force for Charlie at least, whilst Faust and Cheer Up push up the left towards Echo. What do you think about what those tanks are? Like T80UM or T72BU? What do you think about that?
Well, honestly, while I personally prefer the BU in those situations, I can see why they might prefer it in this sort of map, because you can have a lot of fighting from pretty long range. Like, well, I was about to say across the river, just sort of lost what I was saying there. But you can have skirmishes across the river with tanks. Again, personally, I would rather have the BU, but I can see why they might want that longer range ATGM.
Yeah, that is the main reason you would pick it, I guess. It's because of that ATGM is slightly better. Over on the red side, we do see quite a lot of units from Random and Pattern starting in India, which sort of gives an implication that they are going to push quite hard into Charlie, or at least try to at the start of the game. And we do see a few of Random's units and Pattern's units and Fadeway's units starting in Juliet to come down to Hotel as well. But definitely more units on the Alpha Charlie side for the red side than there is for the blue side.
That's true. I'm not sure if there's quite enough for it to be an effective rush, but at the same time, Pan could definitely try and push across the bridge. Especially with Nandemai having such a small starting force over here, just one SU-122 and some BMP-3s with air cover.
Yeah, the BMP-3s might be able to deal with sort of medium tanks, but anything heavier they would definitely have a hard time with, even if they like brought in bombers and such. But we have to look at the actual units, I guess, and by looking at them, I guess it is much more defensive than it actually looks in terms of massive units, because there are two sort of Igla squads in there and probably two Conkers M's, and they're a bit like immobile to really be sending in an attack this early on. So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe they might overinvest a little bit on Alpha, but we'll see what happens towards Hotel and Echo. But again, we have like a really long deployment phase, and I think this is actually something we should probably talk about. In the last couple games, we have also seen really long deployments, and it just goes to show how much both teams really think about their strategies at the start of the game.
No, it really does, and you can tell that they are planning out these things in quite a lot of detail, because at the end of the day, you don't take this long on a deployment phase unless you really want to make sure exactly what's going on. Unless maybe one of the teams is trying to unnerve the opponent, but either way, I think there's a lot of hardcore tactical planning going on here, and we'll see exactly what happens.
Well, I think under the rules of the tournament, you don't actually have to wait for the opposing team in order to start the game. So this is sort of like a mutual respect thing here. They're both waiting for the other team to be ready, and it looks like they both are now. So we are underway, and we're going to see the units off the mark. We'll probably going to see this KA-52 with the Mi-24D with Faust try and head towards Hotel as quickly as possible. A Smirch coming out of Cheer Up straight from the start. Smirch start there. Let's see if that lands anywhere near this massive convoy coming out of the red side.
Yeah, there is a lot of stuff there. A lot of heavy tanks as well. It looks like it's just going to be just a bit far back. Nearly right on that Buratino though.
Yeah, actually hit the Buratino 2 times already, and it looks like the majority of the units have managed to get away with that, although the SU-122's there taking a nice chunk of damage, but it looks like that's failed there. A small air skirmish, a MiG-25 PD of Faust, I think, shooting down an opposing MiG-25 PD. Looks like ANZ got the best of that skirmish this game. So here we see the APCs engaging each other. BTR-70 Zalo there should be pretty effective against these BTR-90s until it gets taken out by the autocannons. But I think what this skirmish is really going to come down to is composition of forces, and at the moment I'm really liking this Kornastrauki squad out of Cheer Up. That will start to pick off those BTRs very quickly, and also it seems as though Cheer Up's BTRs are winning out at the moment. And the Buratino also from Cheer Up, this is going to do a lot of damage.
Well, this is, going back to when Pan's Buratino got hit by the Smirch. It might not have done that much damage, but it made that Buratino have to stay away from the front line. So that means that the blue team has had time to set up, get all their units in position, and now has access to their own Buratino that they'll just use to fend off this attack, I think.
Yeah, well, the thing that I really liked there was the combined strike. We saw the SU-24M come in on top of the Buratino, and obviously the Buratino is going to stun all the units that it lands upon, and they will all be stationary, which makes the bombing run a lot more sort of reliable, and that's really awesome to see. They did lose the SU-24M, unfortunately, to a couple of Ignite ends hitting it at minimum range, and also the Tor there as well, probably helping out. But this Buratino looks like Cheer Up's using the ammunition very effectively to stun the units as much as he can, and that's going to allow the MiG-27 to get in there and land a nice strike for free, pretty much. The Tor just managing to get a missile off, but is not going to land on target, so the MiG-27 gets away with it. But the skirmish still continuing, but it's nice to see that the red side has got a full foothold into Hotel, which is normally not the case because the blue side will very often get infantry into the compound where the Gornostrelki and Moskaya Pehota are.
Yeah, well, this is why we saw them bring so many motorized infantry units at the start of the game. We're going to stop though because Pan has two Buratinos and it looks like they're both about to go off. Although one of them's gone over the bridge, that's a bit close for comfort, I think.
Yeah, possibly. I think he wants to maybe make the strikes a lot more concentrated than they currently are. Mi-24D finally going down there to the MiG-23 MLD and the Tor. The Ka-52 still hanging about on the left side of Juliet at the top of the map, so that is going to try and take a couple pot shots at the MiG-23 MLD. Small skirmish going on between Echo and Hotel just over the river. Spetsnaz Gru taking on the Moat shoots in there, but Spetsnaz Gru probably going to win out in that engagement because of the Dragunov. And now we're going to see Patton firing his Buratino once again, but this time not really hitting too much. The BTRDs are going to be stunned, but the infantry going to be absolutely fine.
They are. I mean, like I was saying before about the Buratino crossing the road, one of them got side-shotted by that UM. And now the return Buratino from Nandamani is going to come in and probably stun all of that stuff there in the forest. Oh no, he's going for the town, never mind.
Yeah, looks like he put 5 rockets into the compound, and that's stunned the Gornostrelki, but isn't really actually going to do too much damage. But now we see the Smirch coming in once again. Let's see what sort of damage that does. Might pick off the BTR-90 there. Yep, definitely will. And the T-72BU's sitting on very low health. We need one more rocket to land on top of that for a kill. And still a couple more chances. Yes, they get the kill.
Oh.
T-72BU does go down. And that is a massive kill for the blue side.
Well, not only is it really important in general to kill such a high point tank, but you have to remember because of the deck patterns playing, they don't have enough of them. They don't have enough BUs to replace that. There was probably only one BU brought in on veteran, I think. So now, I believe that was Fadeaway, has lost his BU.
Yeah, so they're going to be very, very limited in that, and really all they can really do to make up for that is just sort of almost using an abundance of T-72As or something like that with maybe smoke in order to get very close and use that armor effectively against these heavier tanks. But the Buratino is definitely going to make that hard, as the Buratino is very good at sort of stagnating any push that comes out of either team. So you can see it just instantly stuns anything it lands on, and that makes it incredibly hard to push effectively.
Well, again, the reason it's so valuable isn't, I mean, it can do a lot of damage to units, but at the end of the day, the suppression effect is so important. The difference in a unit that's panicked compared to a unit that's calm in terms of its damage output and accuracy is just ridiculous.
Yeah, you can just see there the suppression again onto all of the new squads of Gornostrelki that come in. They are instantly panicked from a couple of rockets from Nandimanai's Buratino. That was literally only 2, and they get stunned from it. So now a T-72B1 coming in as a replacement tank for Random there. But currently we do see the push coming out of Nandimani. He's trying to get his VDV into the town here, following up on Cheer Up's Spetsnaz. We do see an Su-24 flying above, and it looks like that might go down to the MiG-25 PD, but the MiG-25 PD actually running out of missiles before getting the last hit. And now we see a sort of build-up of forces on the other side of Echo, over the river. The Spetsnaz crew are still holding pretty strong, but you can see T-72A there from Patton definitely has them on the deck, with the Moat Schutzen up front and the Gongbyong as well, so things gonna be getting difficult if Faust doesn't reinforce that.
Yeah, definitely. I think Faust is probably trying to pay attention more to the middle sector and probably not quite realising just how much stuff is up in this top side, and Pan's starting his push now.
Now we have a T-90S on the field now from Fadeway, currently at half health already. A massive VDV-90 and the BTRDs approaching the town now. That machine gun fire was incredible, and we do see the Buratino strike once again, and that's going to stun the T-72B1 and the majority of the fire supports onto these VDV that are attacking, and that's going to be really helpful to get Cheer Up into that compound.
No, it definitely is. It not only does it panic, but it also acts as like an impromptu smokescreen, as you can see, and it's really good for blocking the site as well. But an excellent job by Nandemani to push in with support from Cheer Up there.
It's just incredible how much they're using at the moment. We do see a MiG-27 coming in, and that is going to take down the first T-80UM to fall, I think. MiG-25 PD skirmish, it looks like Red Side won out that time round. And we do see a couple more aircraft coming in, a MiG-23 MLD and the B-5. The B-5 dropping its 3,000 kilogram bomb directly onto the VDV squads, and that has done a lot of damage to those squads, but all three pretty much remaining alive. There was actually 4 squads there, so one did die, but they're remaining alive, and that does give them the opportunity to rearm those squads and get them back to full health with supply vehicles.
It does. If you have a look on the left side though, the red team is making a bit of an advance, but it's kind of petered out a little bit, and now Faust is bringing some reinforcements in. Probably VDV-90 and I'm going to imagine Spetsnaz crew in that BTR-90.
Well, the thing is, all that needs to happen right now is Patton puts a command vehicle, into Echo, and then they start to accrue a lead in this game, and that would put the pressure onto ANZ so much, because it's going to be a lot harder for the blue side to keep a command unit in Hotel than it is for the red side to keep one in Echo on the other side of the river, and that's something we definitely have to watch out for.
It is, especially with how effective it is to put recon in the small, or like the big forest area just on the other side of the river from Hotel, where that T-72B1's firing from now, because that can see all the way down to the edge of the sector really, and they can see you sneaking a CV in there.
Yeah, so we saw a skirmish in the middle. 2 T-80UMs taking on the T-90S. It took the T-90S a little while to actually fire upon the T-80UM, because the T-90S doesn't actually have an HGM, and that is something that Fadeway definitely needs to be careful about. MiG-27 going down after taking out one of the T-80UMs, but the T-90S there on the bridge now down to 3 health and retreating to the other side of the river.
Yep, it looks like Cheer Up Smirch is about to fire off, and I imagine that's going right on the other side of the river there. So Random needs to be, or Fadeway, sorry, should I say, needs to be very careful, because this Smirch is going to land right over there. I imagine anyway.
Yeah, I think the aiming time of that is pretty long, but it definitely has the opportunity to take out that heavy tank, and they do not really want to lose another one. MiG-27 coming in again from Random is going to take out a T-80UM, but does trade the aircraft, so they must be, getting pretty low on MiG-27s. They do have quite a few to work with, but 2 down already, and that will start to affect them late game if they can't deal with their super heavies.
No, I really think it will. But then again, that's still 2 down, so the blue team does have to be careful there because I believe that was two players T82Ms, wasn't it? And I think they brought them veteran. So I think they'll only have one each.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them have the T72BU on the deck as well. And maybe just brought out the TU-ATUM because they saw the T90s or whatever. So, you know, I think it's like the preference from this map was the T-ATUM, and they might still have that T-72BU in reserve. MiG-27 going down again. That's the third one down. And yeah, the red side definitely going to be running out. A nice use of this Mi-24 VP on the other side of the river at Echo to do a lot of damage to 3 squads of Moat-Schutzen, and that's going to allow the Spetsnaz to move forwards and challenge those squads.
Well, this is a really big deal if the red team loses this town where Spetsnaz are just moving towards, because we were saying how it's quite difficult to get a CV into a hotel. If you control that side of the river, it's much easier. You have much more land to play with, you can aggress onto the enemy from their side of the river, and really it's just a great way of pushing your opponent out of hotel if you can capture that small area of the sector.
Yeah, and they're definitely making progress now. This Mi-24 VP is doing so much work because there's no AA in sight, and it's literally just killing all the infantry that was left over from the Buratino strike. The Buratino was very, very effective, but now a B5 coming in from Fadeway to try and defend against this push, but these Spetsnaz, they might be able to move out of the sector in time. Let's wait and see. That doesn't look like they need to. Still remained alive, but the VDV squads went down.
They did, but there's already some more on the way from Faust, I believe, in those BTRDs. So it looks like the blue team will get a hold onto the edge of the hotel sector, and honestly, they're doing very well. They've almost pushed them out of the hotel sector to start with.
Yeah, another Buratino. Cheer up, firing onto the other side of the river now, and this is getting dangerously close to this infantry CV that Random is relying on in this sector. I think what they might need to do is invest in a tank CV and double cap hotel, because this is not looking good at the moment if the Buratinos continue to fire.
Well, perhaps, but at the same time, I don't think they can afford to have another CV at the moment. I think they're so pushed back, they need to spend their money on combat units, really.
Yeah, possibly. And we do see these BTRDs from Faust making a lot of progress, and they're definitely going to end up taking this village in a hotel there. Also, some BTR 90s of Cheer Up following up. So some pretty heavy APCs there. Going to be able to kill off that SU-122, I would assume, and also help take out the couple squads of Moat-Schutzen with their grenade launchers.
No, just an excellent move, because just a few minutes ago it looked like Patton was going to be able to actually push into the blue side of Echo on that side of the river, but just he didn't quite press the advantage as hard as he could have done, and then the VP came in with the support and they just turned it on its head, really.
An interesting choice of unit there from Patton. He's actually decided to bring in a Muster and is using that to fire onto the Spetsnaz, and managed to kill one squad already with that, and the second one is going to go down to that artillery. Basically that's a very powerful howitzer artillery unit, and it does have the increased rate of fire, which is sort of like a secret stat on that particular unit and other artillery units.
No, it's a very good unit, but definitely one that we don't usually see, because there's generally more valuable things you'd take in your support section of your deck in a regular deck, but because he's playing a support deck in general, he can afford to use the slots to bring in things like the Mister.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure he can afford to actually buy the unit though, because it seems they are definitely lacking. The SU-122s coming out from Faust now, and supported by VDV 90s. That is a scary combo. Also, Cheer Up is making a lot of progress with the Spetsnaz, and it's just going to be harder and harder for Hotel to be fully secured by the red side. And we can see finally a contesting CV from Faust coming in at the bottom right side of the sector. It has been spotted out by the looks of things by Fadeway, unless they're guessing, in which case it was a very good guess, but I think they possibly saw that move into the sector there, and they'll probably try and take that out at some point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Spetsnaz group squad in that forest across the river, so they definitely saw that. But that is a T72K1, so it will take a bit of time to kill with just the Mister. But we'll have to see if they decide to send anything heavier to try and kill it. But at the moment, I don't think they can afford to bring in artillery to try and snipe that. I think they need combat units on the ground to actually try and repel this relentless push from the blue team.
Yeah, just look how many VDV-90 are coming out of Faust now. This is just insane. The VDV-90 are very good, but actually these SU-122s from Patton and Fadeway absolutely annihilated a couple of those VDV-90 squads. But generally the VDV-90 chosen because of their Vampire AT weapon, as well as the fact they are elite infantry, or shock infantry, sorry. So actually not elite. But yeah, the AT weapon does allow them to kill the APCs very easily, and when you're playing red versus red, it's very important that you take out the BTR-90s and BRDM-3s and so on, because those can really turn the tide of an engagement, especially between infantry.
That's definitely true. Like the power of the grenade launcher on the BTR-90 just can't be overstated. But the B5 coming from the red team, that's going to land probably right onto the main town in Hotel, I imagine.
Yeah, we do see 2 squads of VDV in there and multiple squads of Yakuide. So we'll have to see what it actually destroys. It's going to definitely take out quite a few of those Yakuide, and well, they pretty much took out all of them. That was incredible there from that B5. Big bombing strike. A lot of that infantry wasn't in compounds, so they suffered greatly for that. But there's a couple of VDV-90 squads surviving, and they are going to be able to deal with those Yakuide squads. You can see finally the Buratino is firing into the backside of the sector where the command vehicle is, and it looks like Random was pretty lucky there to avoid his command unit being hit by the napalm. But there we go, 3 Buratinos firing at the same time there. We had one hit the forest that covers Hotel on the other side of the bridge. That was followed up by a Smirch barrage as well. And on the left side we do see the Moat Schutzen that are trying to push Faust out on the other side of the river be hit by that Buratino as well. So they're going to be panicked, and they're going to be able to be taken out very easily by the Spetsnaz and VDV while they run across the open.
Well, it just goes to show how valuable the Buratino is, really. I know that a lot of these players in their Soviet decks, they won't take a card of mortars or artillery, they'll just take 2 Buratinos. Because the suppression effect is unlike anything else in the game. It's absolutely phenomenal, really. And we've seen how effective it is. Just look at the damage it's done.
Yeah.
The 3 Buratinos there.
What I'm surprised to see, though, is not more Buratinos from the red side. They do have a support deck, and I'm pretty sure both other players can bring in Buratinos, but we just haven't seen them used as much by the red side, and they're really falling to the fact that it seems that blue side made that choice early on to use the Buratinos, and now what the red side is doing is trying to compensate for the damage they're taking, as opposed to matching those with their own Buratinos. We do see the CV in Hotel engaged by a couple of VDV squads of Cheer Up, and it looks like Random's CV has run out of luck there, and that command infantry there are going to die. So full control now for the blue side in Hotel, and that +2 conquest lead is going to add up very, very quickly.
It is, and Nandemonite pushing those T8s across the river. There's not really that much to stop it. There's a BU up on the hill, but that's panicked and already damaged. I'm just... Oh man, Nandemonite dropped. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, ANZ winning, but Nandemonite is going to drop there. I think Faust and Cheer Up can pick up the slack though.
I think they can, but I'm honestly not too impressed with this support deck from Patton, because his team has needed so many frontline units to try and bear the brunt of this relentless attack, and he's brought in 2 Misters. And don't get me wrong, they're exceptional artillery pieces, but for 260 points, I just think there's much more you could spend on just more efficient units that would actually stop this ridiculous amount of infantry and SU-122 that's coming through from the blue team.
Yeah, it's a complete breakthrough now from Nandemonai's units, obviously no longer controlled by him. But Yeah, he's broken through there. There's more BTRDs with VDV. We've got the SU-122s. And if you think like those BTRs and VDV-90 squads, they cost 30 points each. So you're going to get 4 of those squads for less cost than one of those artillery pieces that Batten is currently using. And that's the difference that you're seeing here. The VDV-90 squad's really been the unit of this game, alongside the Buratinos. And with that Buratino cover, the VDV-90 can make a lot of ground because they have the AT weapon to take on enemy tanks and enemy APCs, which are stunned, and then also kill the infantry because they have quite good accuracy and they are shock trained.
Yeah, have a look over on the right hand side, because this is why I was mentioning earlier that when things don't go well, one of the teams will try and rush across the bridge over between Charlie and Alpha there, and it looks like Patton's the one who's going to try and do it now. He's sending over some SU-122s with supporting tanks and infantry just behind them.
Bit of a traffic jam going on there. Not quite sure what's happening there to those SU-122s. They all just suddenly decided to stop, and that's not ideal for Patton, as those SU-122s actually stopping has revealed this push quite early, and now we already see a response coming in from Cheer Up, and MiG-27 is probably going straight for that T-72B1.
I think it is. Is it going to take it out?
Yes, it is. The second missile there is definitely going to kill that off. All the SU-122s already dead, and now we see BTR-90s approaching with the Morskaya. It seems that they've left a little gap in this smoke, and it is affecting them quite heavily at the moment.
It is. I don't think they'll actually be able to break across too much, especially if the blue team brings in a bomber. Oh, here we go, the SU-24M, yeah. That's going to be disgusting right over that bridge.
But it's going to be on this side of the bridge as opposed to actually on the bridge, so the units that were flooding across didn't actually get affected too badly by that. I think it was initially attempting to hit the Morskaya Pehota, but a second Su-24M coming in. That one is actually going to get shot down, but the bombs do land, and that is a lot of stunned VDV-90 there, waiting to be taken out by the fire support. Couple of BMP3s from Nandem and I getting some really nice long-range shots there, and the KA-29TB also used all of its ammunition pretty much. MiG-27 coming in trying to get a cheeky hit onto the Tor as well, and an Su-27PU is going to shoot that down from fadeaway. So it looks like all eyes on this this push now.
Yeah, the MiG-27 did kill that. Was it a T-90S, I think?
I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, but all this while, this BMP3s over near the backside of Charlie have just been free-firing the entire time, and they have done so much damage. Those 100mm guns have an incredible range for an APC, and will just absolutely demolish this infantry.
Yeah, 2,450 meters, 3 HE power. So every hit's gonna do 3 damage to a squad, and oh my lord, a aircraft came in from the red side and got shot down, and that actually nearly crashed directly into Cheer Up's command infantry in Gulf. That was very close. That would have definitely shaken things up a little. But you can see Cheer Up's KA-52 has flown directly over Juliet and destroyed the command unit in Juliet, unless that was the work of some artillery there. You can see some shots have landed in Juliet. Also though, look at that, the KA-52 is now flying over India and has spotted the UAZ as well. It looks like the MiG-23 MLD is going to stop the KA-52 from taking that out, but that would have been really dangerous.
Yeah, luckily for the red team though, they've had another CV in the sector already, so they can afford to stop and then move their CV. But it looks like there's a surrender vote coming in here, and this looks like it'll be the end of the game for the CCD.
Yeah, surrender vote coming out after 25 minutes and 26 seconds. A +3 lead there. Apparently too much for CCD to come back on, so they decided to leave it at that. And that means that ANZ has won against CCD and will move on in the winners bracket of the Reddit tournament. So great job by them. This was an incredibly convincing game from them. They made great use of their units. The VDV-90, just such good value for money in the BTRDs, and then also the Buratino, which I was quite disappointed not to see come out of the red side as well, as opposed to the blue side.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, that map is just one where Bertino can just accomplish so much. And I mean, Pan brought two of them out earlier on, but just lost them both, and we didn't see any replacements coming out from random or fadeaway. So a bit of a shame, but at the end of the day, it was a very convincing victory. And Cheer Up had an absolutely brilliant performance that game.
Yeah, 4,918 kills to 2,330 losses. That is quite something. But I think what this game really comes down to is the map in a lot of ways. Gunboat diplomacy for both sides is very predictable. It's a very it's played a lot basically, and it's quite common to see units group up in the same sort of positions, and that is why the Buratino is like so effective, because just like we were saying, we were expecting Patton to use Buratinos on the town on the blue side of the river. It's very easy for the blue side to use it in hotel at those certain like village areas and the forests as well, and that definitely helped them take back hotel after they lost it initially.
Well, not only that, but Cheer Up comboed those Buratino strikes so well with that with the Smirch. Just by forcing the units to be panicked and stunned, and the Smirch comes down right on top of them, and it's really devastating combination.
Yeah, another thing that made a big difference in that game was, of course, the heavy tanks, because Patton didn't have really access to those heavy tanks and had limited access to infantry as well. He definitely sort of almost hampered his team, because he was spending a lot of points on units that really weren't paying themselves off, like the Musters that were sitting in spawn at 130 points. Like I said, that was 4 squads of VDV 90, and that is a massive difference on the front line, especially if you don't have Buratinos taking those out.
No, it really is. It really is, and I mean, obviously, it's not just down to Patton. It was a combination of things, and ANZ played extremely well, but I do feel that maybe the support deck is not seen for a reason. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that they had to lose the game on in that kind of way, especially in like a third game of a best of 3. But it was still like you said, a convincing victory from ANZ. They definitely won that game for themselves, as opposed to the opposing team losing it. And you can just see that as well through the kills and deaths. Obviously, we don't focus on it too much, because when it comes down to it, conquest points win games. But like 4,918 kills to 2,330 losses is just generally unseen at this sort of level of play, and it just shows how well Cheer Up really did in this game, especially probably with those Buratinos and the VDV 90 combos and so on. So yeah, great job by ANZ. Also, great job by CCD in this best of 3. They really came out fighting, and they definitely showed that they can beat ANZ quite convincingly themselves. So I think they have a good chance in the lower bracket. So we'll have to see how they do. But that's all I have to say. Any last words?
Just that we do have in the losers bracket, I believe we will have CCD versus Sarah Buxton, so that's definitely a game to look out for, because honestly, I think this was a brilliant series, and I would like to see them face off in the finals. But again, CCD does have a bit of a mountain to climb with Cerner Buxton, because they've lost this series, and despite this last game being quite convincing, the other games were still, they weren't too far apart. So it's like they can almost touch victory, but now they've lost to ANZ, and now they have to go and play Cerner Buxton, who's a team that's probably, I'd say, just a little bit below ANZ in my rating of teams this tournament. So it's definitely a mountain to climb if they want to come back into this and then meet them in the finals. Or, well, that's assuming obviously ANZ beats the next team they have to face.
Yeah. So yeah, moving on from this, ANZ will be moving on to the semi-final, and we can reveal that they are going to be playing the Refugees, and then we're going to be seeing CCD drop down to face Cernabuxer in the lower bracket. But in the meantime, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.